What theater did you go
where'd
to?
you go?
Towson, dude.
Of course.
Tell me a good theater to go to.
I don't know,
All right.
dude. I would give it a try again. I used to really enjoy that theater, but again, back in the day.
Saturday night, dude, 6:30. There was it was barely open. It was a disaster. There was a mess everywhere. There wasn't there was no snacks, no food, nothing. There was like
no
one
price.
coffee.
No.
Never run the bar
Recently?
there either.
No,
I always
they're not.
want to. Yeah, I always want to grab a beer there, and it's all I just got to make a big deal out of it. And
I
hate
said this when I went to saw Wakanda Forever. I went to the bar, ordered a double, a Jameson, and they just poured it and walked away. I was just like, "What is going on?" I was
You have to find people at the Towson Cinemark to help you.
Yeah,
and they don't
it's
want to be
terrible.
found.
It's terrible.
They
It's like,
don't
yeah,
wanna
like
be doing what
I'm
they're
definitely not an alcoholic, but can you walk over here to this bar and like ring me up for this? You know,
doing. It's like a
16-ounce
major
Stella.
selling point to the
Yeah,
theater.
so-
though,
certainly
that
right.
they have the
They
bar.
have a bar,
That's what makes it
right?
fun. Welcome to episode 53.
53.
53, man. Been doing it.
I don't know any athletes with a good number 53. I'm trying to think.
That's all good. We have a good buddy of ours, Jake Louque. We've been tracking him for a long time. He does some Ravens podcasts. Exit 52 is kind of where he's at right now. But Jake, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about what you're doing behind the mic.
Yeah, definitely. Exit 52 podcast. You can find us. We're covering Ravens. We do a little bit of Orioles too, some general interest, Baltimore area stuff. Started out with SB Nation, Baltimore Beatdown. So, podcast about the Ravens for, 4 years, I guess that was. And that came to an end earlier this year. So joined up with some other guys, Eric Arditi, Brian Black, Taylor Smythe. And then it's me and my co-host, or my my co-host that I was with. We both went and joined up with those guys. And yeah, we've been doing that for a little over a month maybe at this point, and been loving it. So
Hell yeah.
Welcome, man. Welcome.
That's awesome,
dope.
dude. And you have kind of known those guys for a while, right? The dudes that were on Exit 52, were they ever they were featured on some of the older show stuff, right? Or did you guys ever overlap?
So they're Eric and Brian are both Barstool bloggers. So Eric has the Orioles for them. Brian does Ravens. And then Taylor was a friend of theirs, and he actually works in the University of Maryland's social media department. So we had Eric and Brian on our podcast because Eric is a Titans fan, weirdly. So we had him on to talk when the Ravens and the Titans would meet up. And, there were some big games obviously there. And then Brian, we would have on to just talk Ravens and general stuff. And yeah, just struck up a friendship. And then when it got announced that our podcast wasn't going to be continuing with SB Nation, Brian kind of reached out and said, "Hey, what do you guys think about joining up? This might be a good opportunity to start something new here, kind of, freshen things up for both of us." So we jumped at it.
Nice.
That's great, man.
Congrats, man.
All right. So before we hop into all the fun Raven stuff, we're going to pop the top on this bottle of Old Elk. Now, I know, Jake, obviously I can't get this to you. You also have to take our word for it. Are you a whiskey guy? What's your preferred drink of choice?
Yeah, it's interesting, man. I'll pretty much drink anything. I'm more whiskey like when it's a little colder out. So, you get that fall kind of winter. I like to break into the brown stuff. I'm a little bit more tequila guy these days. But yeah, it's funny. My brother-in-law is big into the whole bourbon scene. So every couple, whatever the occasion is, I feel like I get a bottle of bourbon from him. So I'll get some nice stuff. And I wouldn't call myself a connoisseur or anything, but I feel like I've had some good stuff, and I'm an appreciator at least.
Yeah,
I got a bottle
there
of
you go.
Makers right over there, which is maybe a little shameful. But
No, dude, that stuff's great. We love it. I agree. I'm not as big on bourbon and whiskey in the warmer months, but we've kind of committed our show to it, so we just have to ride it out.
sure.
We're kind of in a position where we're stuck with it now. But I'm going to pass that down to you, Courtney. You can start pouring yourself some. I have never. We generally try to do bottles we've never had before, and this is not any different. We've never had this before in the show. The only reason I picked it out, to be honest, was because it has a very interesting top on it. It is supposed to be reminiscent of an elk's horn. It kind of looks like it's elk horn. I don't think it really is, but
You see it?
there you go. You can check that out. And that's
This is plastic.
yeah, probably. Very much so. All right. So we'll pass that around. We'll get some tastes going. We'll see how this goes. We'll revisit later in the episode.
I love Jake, so I'll pretty much drink anything.
No, hell yeah, dude.
I love that.
All right. So let's dive into let's talk some Ravens stuff real quick.
Yeah.
That's kind of, your area of expertise. Now, I'm going to be honest. I love the Ravens. I track with them. Big NFL guy. My knowledge is not as deep, obviously, as yours or anybody who tracks it super closely, for example. But I really enjoy it from the outside. So I'm going to ask probably some dumb questions. but hopefully you can help educate us a little bit.
Yeah.
And I know the Lamar thing has been kind of beat to death. Everybody's really been like hammering that home. So we'll probably touch on it at some point, but we want to talk about some other things too.
With the latest stuff, I feel like it's kind of, I would love to get Jake's point on it because I feel like it still kind of plays to it.
Sure. So without diving directly into Lamar just yet, one question that I had for you I thought might be a fun spot to start would be, is there, amongst all of the Lamar drama over the last couple of months, is there something that the Ravens have been doing or have done that doesn't get the press or doesn't get the notoriety that it should? Like, I mean, there's obviously all kinds of things happening all the time in the organization, but I feel like the media really focuses on the Lamar thing. So is there something that you feel is like people should be like dialed into a little bit more, or like, did we miss something in like the chaos of it all?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I mean, and it's kind of a tough one to answer too, because they haven't really had the bandwidth to like make a lot of moves with what's going on with his contract situation. And like, you know, I think people, when you hear that, they think I'm making an excuse or like, oh, they should have locked him up earlier, that kind of stuff. It's like, not really. I'm just saying that like, that's where they're at right now for whatever the reason is. That's where they are. They can't really do a ton in free agency. So there hasn't been a ton. I mean, funny enough, like it's easy to forget. They had the whole thing with the, grades come out for The Athletic. I don't know if you guys saw that article.
That was pretty bad.
Where it was talking about, you know, the different, you know, facets of organizations and stuff. And the Ravens got like an F or whatever it was with the strength and conditioning. Yeah. So finally they got rid of Steve Saunders. I think it was probably too late. Their controversial strength and conditioning coach who, you know, he spread COVID in the locker room back in 2020. He didn't get fired then. And then guys like Derek Wolfe are going elsewhere and talking about how this guy's just working you until you can't walk. So they made the improvement there. I think it was maybe a little too late for some guys. I think Rashad Bateman voiced some frustration on those fronts. And there was a lot of ugliness with this offseason, but it feels like we're maybe finally coming around the bend of that a little bit. And I guess we'll have to see what happens with the contract, but you know, a nice olive branch was just extended to Lamar. I'm sure we'll talk about Odell Beckham at some point, but making a big signing like that and going out of character to do it, I think they deserve a lot of credit for that because it was a big problem. They needed to address it, and they needed to address it with a professional option. And they went out and did what they had to do. They put it all on the table and they got it done.
Yeah. So the injury thing, let's talk about that real quick. I have always felt like the Ravens are kind of, for whatever reason, they fall victim to injury a lot. It seems like it's just kind of, I don't know, like it's a monkey they can't get off their back for whatever reason. I feel like every season it's just there's a key player or something like that. Am I sensitive to that just because I watch the Ravens? Like, are other teams, like stat wise, like from an analytics perspective, are other teams like in similar positions or suffering like injuries at a similar rate? Or are the Ravens, I know like the F rating, is that based on the analytics of injury, or is that just like player feedback? Like, how is that all, like, where do we sit with that?
Yeah, so I think that survey was actually based on player feedback because they wanted to get the NFLPA perspective on organizations. So from that standpoint, it was just like straight up, hey, player X, player Y, player Z, what do you think of this? And that's what they were saying. So that's what it was based on. But I would say, like, if this is going to keep happening year after year, like, yeah, sure, it happens to other organizations. And, you know, there were probably plenty of well-publicized examples of that. But when it just kept happening year after year, like it seems to with the Ravens and it seemed to the last couple of years, maybe it's, you know, time to reassess something. And so I personally am glad to see them moving on from him.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. Hell yeah. All right. And then, so let's talk a little bit about the Lamar situation. You were saying how like there was the olive branch was extended with the new signing, right? And we saw the two of them kind of out hanging out, getting a drink, celebratory drink together.
Let's get into the circus that this is.
And it seems like that was, I guess the sense is that was a little bit pre-planned or a little orchestrated, maybe on their behalf. Like maybe they kind of worked something out on the front end and the Ravens kind of bought into it, or what? Like, what's the perspective on that?
Yeah, it sounds like they were talking, and it sounds like Lamar was actively recruiting Beckham. And it's funny because, you know, not that long ago, Lamar was coming out in public with the fact that he had requested a trade. And I think we're now seeing, and I think it was kind of easy to see even at the time that was really just posturing. And it's just like, hey, if you're not going to pay me what I want to get paid, then trade me. It wasn't anything personal, I don't think. And I think this confirms that Lamar is going to be playing for the Ravens in 2023. Is it going to be on the tag? Is it going to be on a long-term contract? Who knows? But he will be there. And to me, that's great news. And I don't know. It's just it's one of those things where I wish we could get some clarity on it at some point, one way or the other, but it feels like we are going to have another year of him playing on the tag. And it's funny because Spencer, my co-host, made the point that it kind of seems now like the non-exclusive franchise tag, which was looked at as a little bit of an unconventional move. It sounds like maybe there was some kind of gentleman's agreement between him and the organization. You know, DaCosta had flown down to Pompano Beach or wherever he's living now down in Florida to chat with him early in the offseason. And we kind of had the idea that maybe they just said right then and there, like, look, if we can't come to an agreement, we'll give you the non-exclusive franchise tag. We'll give you a little chance to have this mini free agency period. And for whatever reasons, I know there's some conspiracy theories out there, he's not drawing a ton of interest, but at the very least, you know, you gave him a chance, and now, you know, it sounds like he's going to come back and he's going to have a big weapon to work with. So it seems like things have worked out okay for both parties up to this point.
And what is like Lamar's, I guess, what is the angle for him per se, or what is the speculation there? If he wants to play on the tag, let's say, he's hoping that his year is just going to be like above and beyond and he wins a Super Bowl or something, and then he can net the contract that perhaps he's looking for. Or because I kind of felt like teams are saying, hey, we're not going to pay that much, like we're done doing that, is kind of like the impression I've gotten. So is he just hoping to challenge that like ideal, or like what's the win for him if he plays on the tag again and has a mediocre year? Is he in the same situation? Like, what's his I know you can't say for sure, but like, what do you think his goal is?
Yeah. So what I think, I mean, it just feels to me like he wants to just hit the market when it's time to hit the market. I don't think he wants to he's not in any rush to sign anything. And we've been hearing that for a long time. And I think we're seeing it play out now in real time, where he's okay to just play out the tag this year. And if he has anything close to a good year, then his value will still be high. Like I don't think he has to have a lights out year, because people will sell themselves on a quarterback and their potential. Like, you know, you get one desperate team, if he hits the open market, they'll throw the bag at him. Yeah, they won't do it if he's on the non-exclusive tag and they've got to, give up these 2 first round picks for him. Good, yeah. Right. Good, and if he wants to do that this year and then do it again next year, as long as he has 2 good seasons and he doesn't catastrophically injure himself, which the odds are probably stacked in his favor, then he's going to hit free agency and he's going to be fine. Yeah. And maybe he'll come back to the Ravens, or maybe not. But it just seems to me like he wants to, maybe ride this thing all the way out and see where it takes him.
So the thought is that he could net the contract that he's looking for, but the hang up for a lot of teams right now is the pick situation, like the picks that they'd have to deliver. Is that kind of what the general consensus is? Yeah,
it's kind of it's almost like the have your cake and eat it too thing, where giving the Deshaun Watson contract, which is ostensibly what he wants. He said, I don't actually want the Deshaun Watson contract, or I just want to get paid a little bit more than Deshaun Watson or something to that effect. And he wants it all to be fully guaranteed. Teams are kind of balking at that for one thing, but it will be another thing, guys, if he was just going to hit the open market. I think teams would kind of maybe eschew their values a little bit, and they wouldn't mind kind of going against one another to make that signing. But the fact that you would A, have to pay him that, B, have to look kind of bad in the eyes of the other owners because you're following that Jimmy Haslam route, which none of these owners purport to want to follow. And then C, you're going to have to give up all that draft capital. It's just a little bit too much to overcome right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And on that note about the Deshaun Watson thing, so the Browns, obviously, they've, really made a big statement with their signing of Deshaun Watson.
Really sent the Browns to the Super Bowl.
So what's the consensus on that? What's the idea? Doesn't that put them in a really terrible position kind of moving forward over the next couple of years? Aren't they just really strapped now? What is they really planted a flag, I feel like, being we're going to pay the guy, we're going to guarantee this quarterback the most money ever. Is there a upside to that situation for them?
I think it's just all short-term upside is the thing. And the Ravens really don't think that way. And I think a lot of smart organizations don't think that way. They kind of think in terms of 2 and 3 year plans. And some Ravens fans actually don't really like that about them. They want them to be more aggressive and kind of go more all in, a la the Beckham deal, which a lot of them were happy with. And, I can certainly see that side of things, but I also understand that the Ravens are running things like a business a little bit more, and they want to kind of have that long-term view in mind. But for the Browns and Watson, it was just kind of that total, desperation heave to try and finally make it work at quarterback after so many years, really decades. They couldn't figure it out at quarterback, and it just it made them the laughing stock of the league. And then finally, it looks like they have it figured out with Baker Mayfield. And then you have this internal strife where he has this power struggle with Kevin Stefanski, and his play drops off a bit. And at the first chance they could to cut bait, They cut bait and they said, okay, Deshaun Watson, you want literally everything, all of the money? Okay, we'll give it to you because we're tired of dealing with this. And Jimmy Haslam was already not highly thought of in ownership circles, the Browns owner.
Okay.
And this made it even worse for him. But I don't think they care as long as they get a Super Bowl out of it. But we'll see about that. I'm not sure I see that happen.
I think they're cursed.
Yeah, I was going to say, and the jury's still a little out on the Deshaun Watson thing, right? Because he's not played for a long time. He played some last season, but it's not like he had a stellar couple of games. I mean, I guess he probably wouldn't because it's not like there's a reason to go out there and,
and that's the interesting thing to me is, he had the injuries, he had the off the field stuff, and then he went out there and I thought he looked okay last season for the limited time that he played. But man, like the only quarterback I do that for, there's only one guy, and I think you guys probably know who it is, and he plays in Kansas City. And guess what? He's not going to come available anytime soon. So like this idea that we're just going to shell out for Deshaun Watson, who's like, I don't know, at his best, he's maybe like a top 5 quarterback, but I don't know if we're going to see him at his best again because of all that he's been through. And it's just a weird deal. So that was just a desperation move. Credit to them for putting the Ravens in this tough spot, but I don't know. I'm not sure it's going to net the results that they really want.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. What's the one thing that and you kind of touched on the injury piece earlier, but what's the one thing that the Ravens as an organization have really gotten right in the offseason so far?
They haven't really panicked, I don't think, with the fact that like they can't do anything. It's a little weird because they make some moves where they re-sign a Roquan Smith and they have all these studs on their team. And it's like, all right, this team's ready to compete. So like, it's tough to lose a Calais Campbell. It's tough to lose a Chuck Clark, some of these pieces that, maybe they're not superstars, but they're great depth pieces or they're good starters that you're losing. But they haven't totally panicked with that. They haven't said, all right, well, we gotta find a way to fix this and fix that. And some people might say that the Odell Beckham move is a panic move to an extent because you're paying $15 million in guarantees or whatever it is to a wide receiver that didn't play last year and has had injuries.
I was going to ask you that. Do you think that's too much?
Yes, but it's like, what else are you going to do? Like, you got to solve this position somehow. They've tried to do it in the draft. People say that they don't try to draft them. Eric DeCosta has. He drafted Hollywood Brown in round 1. He drafted Miles Boykin in round 3. He drafted Rashad Bateman in round 1. He drafted Devin Duvernay in round 3. He drafted Tylan Wallace in round 4. It hasn't worked out. Like, they haven't been able to figure it out in the draft, which I think was his plan. I think he wanted to say, like, hey, we're going to fix this thing, and we're not going to do the thing that desperate teams do and overpay in free agency for this position. But it didn't work out in the draft, and he's got a quarterback who's unhappy, and he kind of boxed himself into a corner. There's a little bit of a tax on the wide receiver position, too, for the Ravens as well, because they haven't been productive with that position in the last couple of years. So it's like Odell's maybe looking at some of these other teams and saying, well, I could maybe go there, and I could probably be more productive if making a little bit less money. So maybe it was for the Ravens' best interest to say, hey, we'll overpay for you even to a significant amount. If this was that, I'm not totally sure, to have you come in and you'll be the centerpiece, and we're changing our offense over to Todd Monk. And so maybe all the pieces will fit into place here for you. So yeah, a little bit of an overpay, but
have a history, right?
What's up?
Him and Monk have a history, right?
Yeah, they do. They were in Cleveland together, and it sounds like they quite like each other. So it's good to hear from that standpoint. And yeah, I'm interested to see how it works out, man. I'm pretty cautiously optimistic.
Yeah. And so what's the caution about? Like, I know that there's a lot of people out there that are a little like unsure about the signing. Is that like, what for you, what is that?
It's just soft tissue injuries. Like those can be kind of tricky, right? Like he's had, I don't know if the last ACL was the only one he's had, but I remember he had hamstring issues. Like, I don't know if you guys remember his rookie year. He came into the league and he didn't play in his first 4 games in 2014.
I remember that.
Yeah, because he had that hamstring thing going on, and then he came out and he just started tearing it up, and it's like, oh my God, this guy just kind of came out of nowhere, like a quarter of the way through the season, and he's looking awesome now. But yeah, that's a soft tissue injury. I think he's battled other stuff, and then
he had the ankle the next year.
Yeah, sure. And then the one with the one in the Super Bowl with the Rams, and yeah, he's had a year off, and hopefully he's been icing it up and just kind of getting himself ready and getting his mind right.
What do you call it? His workouts public, where like a lot of teams
prove like his rehab.
Oh yeah,
and he looked great. I just don't know how that compiles with like actually getting hit by 275.
Yeah, dude, it's tough. I've torn my ACL and meniscus, and like I still feel like it's torn, even though it got fixed 10 years ago at this point. But yeah, I mean, for a guy like that, he's obviously got all the medical geniuses and all the rehab, that he needs to have to get himself back to tip top shape. But it's tough with these soft tissue injuries. So that's really my only kind of concern.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably a fair point. What do you think's the one thing, or like, what do you think's the biggest mistake that the Ravens have made so far this offseason?
It's tough to say because, like I said, they haven't really done much.
And I think some people are probably upset about that, though, right? Because they're kind of in a position where they can't do that much. The Lamar thing is like kind of forever in the ether around them, so they have to be.
I would say here's one thing that I would say. The other day they were at their pre-draft press conference. You guys probably saw this.
Yeah.
And this reporter, this kid, Alex, I forget what his last name is, so I apologize to him, but he's a younger guy, and he's in there, and somebody asked a question about Lamar right at the pre-draft press conference, and I think it was DeCosta or Harbaugh, one of the two, says, we're not really here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the draft.
I saw that. Yeah.
And then this kid, Alex, chimes in and he asks another Lamar question, but it was relative to the draft. He was like, does this make you look at quarterbacks differently? And Chad Steele, their PR guy, good guy, and all these people are good people and everything, but Chad is kind of shushing him and saying like, out, like we're not talking about this right now. And that's
like, how can you not though?
Yeah, like, right. That left a bad taste in my mouth. And I love the organization, and I think, good people involved, and they generally do things the right way, but that just gave me bad vibes, man. Just kind of state-run media vibes.
That they're
like
kind of panicking about it. Like,
yeah, right. Like I don't need to see that kind of stuff. Like if you want to do that, like, and apparently they did tell the media like, hey guys, respectfully don't ask about this. We're not going to answer it. Okay, so say that and then let them continue to ask about it. And if they continue to ask about it and you don't give them any answers, like they're the assholes,
next question,
right? Like they're right. Like make them look bad. Don't make yourselves look bad. Like to me, that was kind of a misstep.
Yeah, so kind of the posturing around it doesn't look the best.
Yeah, right. And like it's fine. I mean, it's just kind of the PR battle being waged here, kind of like Lamar playing the PR chess a little bit, releasing that trade request statement right before Harbaugh is about to go talk in the owners meeting. So it's a little bit of 4D chess being played by both sides. But yeah, they didn't come out looking great after that pre-draft presser. I'll say that. Yeah,
you think the Ravens are mad that Lamar is kind of controlling the PR aspect of that story? It seems like he's the one that kind of releases information whenever he feels like he wants to release information. Yeah,
it feels like a game.
Like you have to be and snooping on his Instagram.
Yeah, and like the game gets played in different ways, right? And like that type of stuff happens, but just in a different, more carefully packaged way when you have an agent involved. And that's really the whole thing here is that Lamar is just, he's self-represented, and I don't know. I personally think he should have an agent, but if he's not going to, then whatever, I respect his decision. But that's where you get kind of messy stuff like this, and where this can happen outside the realms of an Ian Rappaport or a Schefter or whoever it is tweeting this stuff out. That's where it gets a little bit more dicey. So
they have nothing to hold on to. He does these synonymously cryptic posts where he writes the letter and then posts himself in his Ravens jacket. Doesn't say anything for weeks, and then shows a FaceTime with him and Odell. Like I want off of the clown car. Like I just want this. I want this to be settled, and I want it to be like cemented so we can get on with the season. Like,
it feels like Lamar is like the PR right now for the Ravens in a weird way.
He's just having fun with it, and I hate it so much.
Yeah, and the Ravens are like not stoked about it, but I don't know. I mean, it kind of is what it is. Man. Dang.
So all right. So we all kind of feel that we kind of overpaid with Odell, and we don't know what he looks like. But he is 30. Do you think him being a veteran will bring some type of cohesion to the wide receiver core?
Yeah, I think it certainly will. And that's what I like about it. Like, I think they needed to do a veteran, whether it was this or DeAndre Hopkins or whoever. And you didn't have to give up any draft capital for Odell. It was a little bit of an overpay on the salary standpoint, but I'm okay with it because, like I said, that's the tax you have to pay. And it's worth it. And like Odell and Rashad Bateman, they're close. And Rashad Bateman, I think, kind of models his game after him a little bit. So bringing him in to kind of help develop him and, help Bateman hopefully break out. And let's not forget, they also signed Nelson Aguilar, which a lot of people are going to roll their eyes at. Yeah. And
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, he's a solid like number 3, number 4 guy. Yeah. He showed that in New England, and he'll have his boneheaded moments for sure. But a talented enough player.
Hopefully, he doesn't drop it in the end zone and take us.
Yeah, right. Like you'll probably get 1 or 2 of those this year, right? And we'll all be very frustrated about it. But other than that, like he's going to bring you a competency that you do not get with James Prochet, right? James Prochet, God love him, he should not be on an NFL field again, I don't think. And
he should be developmental.
Go prove me wrong, like this offseason, like get better and like get out there and shove it in my face. I'm hoping for it, but that's just the way that I see it right now. So continue to invest. Like why not bring DeMarcus Robinson back too? I mean, he looked solid last offseason. He's not signed. Yeah. And it's just like these solid veteran options that are going to kind of, like you said, bring some cohesion to the room, settle things down. I really like that idea. And I think Odell represents the absolute best of that.
Yeah. You look at those guys, if you go back and you kind of look at tape and look at old games, they don't seem comfortable. And when you bring in veterans like an Aguilar, you bring in like a Odell, someone who's been doing this for 7+ years, they can teach those guys how to be comfortable. So I do understand that the price tag isn't just for his athleticism on the field. And yeah, thank you, Jake, for putting that in perspective, because the fan in me is like, why the hell are we paying this guy almost $20 million? We haven't seen him run in 2 years. But yeah.
He probably obviously still has something to bring though.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think he can still run with the best. I mean,
and he seems like he's got a little bit of a persona to him that can be helpful. You know what I mean? Like sometimes having like characters can be a beneficial thing.
People say he's a great locker room guy.
People love that. I saw a Giants guy talking about, I think he was talking to Zrebeck about that a little bit, how he is like, despite, some of his reputation that he got from New York as being a little bit too high profile and a little bit kind of all about himself. People do say he's like just great locker room guy, good dude. And I'm actually surprised he came here, because like last season they were like, during the regular season, they were flirting with trying to bring him in. Like they were actively trying to talk to him. I heard about that. Yeah, I heard that he was not returning their calls at that time, because I guess he probably just didn't want to play. But the way that I interpreted that at the time was like, why does Odell want to come to Baltimore? Right, like he wants to go to Dallas, he wants to go to LA or New York, he wants to get noticed, he wants to be in the club.
He won his bowl, he went to LA, right?
Yeah, like exactly. So I didn't like think that he would necessarily want to come here, but I don't know, man. He's done the big market thing in New York and LA. He also did the small market thing in Cleveland. So maybe he isn't that kind of dude, but
he's Louisiana guy, LSU. Great seafood there. He comes to Baltimore. Who's going to teach him how to eat crabs? Like he's got to come here and get the Mid-Atlantic feel for how to eat seafood here. Because down there,
it's not going to be Patrick Queen who talks shit on our seafood. He's always talking about how Louisiana has the better seafood. But
damn it,
you can't do the bag. You got to get like the steamed food. I hope he gets some good crabs here.
So, what is your thought on like Lamar's positioning right now at the Ravens? Do you think he's in a good place with them? Do you think do you think that there's bad blood there? And, there's obviously like a trust piece, right, between your quarterback and your team. I feel like for many seasons, it was like Baltimore and Lamar were just like thick as thieves, right? And it seems like everything's kind of unspooled over the last, couple of months. So do you think like his headspace do you think he's like all in on Ravens? Do you think he's really just about like the check and, where you like, what do you think he's feeling there? Like, what's the
little bit of both. Like, he wants to get paid, I think, and that should be important to a guy like him. And I don't begrudge him at all for that. And I don't know, like it just is there bad blood? Like there probably is to an extent, because that's what happens. Like I said, when agents aren't involved, you can get feelings hurt. And maybe that happened a little bit here. But like I said, I think this signing, like it gives me some good vibes. It gives me some optimism that some of that stuff maybe can be patched over a little bit. And like I said, I think at the end of the day, he does understand that it's a business. And, things can get messy, but I think he's going to be a pro about it. I think he's going to show up, and whether it's on the tag or a long-term extension, God willing, I think he'll be back and ready to play for 23.
Yeah. We've seen a lot of guys play on the tag and get paid. Kirk Cousins, Dak literally, his foot was off the bone and then signed his contract.
Yeah.
While he was in rehab. So
I think that's the thing, like you can get injured really badly and still get paid like an insane amount, because teams are just like, this guy's like, we know what he is. He's a great quarterback. Like, like that's worth it to them.
Sure. I think like, I want to say that there were some people who felt as if Lamar maybe wouldn't come back next year and play to the extent that maybe he has played in prior seasons. Like he wouldn't put it all on the line maybe because he felt like the Ravens hadn't given him what he wanted, and maybe there would just be kind of like this odd, awkward year of just 50% Lamar or him kind of being checked out, right? So, but I guess it seems like the Ravens are trying to stack the chips in his favor regardless of the tag, regardless of the contract, and hopefully creating a place where he'll want to be, I guess, in 2023.
Yeah, I think like reading the tea leaves last year, I think we saw a little bit of that. Like he seemed a little frustrated. Like if you looked at him at the press conferences and stuff like that, he wasn't his usual kind of bubbly self. Yeah. You could tell something was weighing him down a little bit. And I think the contract was a big part of that. And then you had the injury situation, and that just obviously we didn't see him after that, but that just made it probably 10 times worse for him. So I don't know. Hopefully the Odell signing, and they've got a lot of good offensive pieces around him already. So just fix that wide receiver position up. Hopefully he can stay healthy this year, and the vibes they'll get flowing again one way or the other.
On paper, we look great.
Yeah. Yeah.
On paper, we look amazing. So,
all right. Do you have any other Ravens questions?
It's fleeting me, but if Jake hangs on, it'll come to me.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Sorry. Yeah. Running backs. How do you think the core looks right now? We got JK. We got who else do we have? Gus. I feel good with JK and Gus.
Yeah, they re-signed Justice Hill too, who looked pretty solid last season. So yeah, like it's in a good spot. It's just the main question is health, and I think it's going to look better health wise than it did last season, where you have JK who looked awesome when he got the ball, but he couldn't bend his left leg. Like he had that breakaway run against the Steelers where he probably should have housed it, but yeah, his left leg was just too stiff to even bend. So I think he'll be back a little bit better. I think Gus will be back a little bit better, healthy, and Justice Hill, I'm a big fan of his. So yeah, I think they're in a good enough spot. Spencer, my co-host, I love him to death, but he's talking about this Bijan Robinson nonsense at 22 in the draft. I'm good on that. Like,
I've heard that. I don't think that's going to go. Yeah, I don't think we're going to do that.
Yeah, just roll with the guys they got. I think they're in a good position with the running backs.
Yeah.
Is there anybody, I want to touch Orioles real quick before we move on, but is there anybody that we lost in the offseason so far that you feel like that's going to sting, like big time for us, that like we should have figured out a way to work around that and keep that person?
Yeah, I mean, Ben Powers at left guard would have been great to keep, but he's just always was pricing himself out of their range. And they do that with these interior offensive linemen and, even just general offensive linemen sometimes, where they just develop a mid-round guy. He has one great contract here and then he's gone. So it's not that I'm necessarily going to miss Ben Powers a ton. It's just who is going to step up in his absence. I think they're hoping it's going to be Ben Cleveland. Based on some of the things that I've heard, I'd be interested to see how that shakes out. And then Calais Campbell, I mean, it just sucks to lose him. Like if he was going to play again, why not just come back to the Ravens?
Yeah,
like why go to Atlanta?
End your career here? Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like why go to Atlanta? Like don't you want to win a Super Bowl ring? And maybe you don't want to do that in Baltimore, but like go to the Chiefs. Like take whatever minimum money from the Chiefs and like win a ring there. Right?
He had such a good attitude and
that's
like
kind of
outgoing. He was just like they would show like tape of him talking about Baltimore, and he was just like, it's just great plays.
Yeah.
Team is great, DaCosta, and blah, blah, blah. And then he just doesn't, and they just let him go. Like,
yeah, great dude. So tough loss.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a bummer. All right, man. I appreciate you shooting the shit with us on the Ravens. It's very informative. Like I said, I don't know the answer to all these questions, but I love to talk about it. Orioles, real quick. We're just going to briefly touch on them real fast because it is the season.
Yeah, boy.
What's up with the Orioles, man? How do you think they're looking so far? I used to go to Orioles games as a kid. I've been to a few like over the years, but I've stopped kind of tracking with them once we kind of fell out of the limelight. So, but I feel like there's a resurgence. At least it seems like, maybe it's a generational thing. I don't know. It seems like there's a resurgence though. Like everybody I know is going to the games again. Feels like people are talking about it. So what's happening with the Orioles? Paint that picture for me.
Yeah, dude, good time to get in if you're thinking about getting back in, because this is kind of the culmination year, and we'll see how it shakes out. But this kind of feels like the culmination year of what's been a 5-year rebuild. When back in I think end of 2018, early 2019, they hired over Mike Elias from Houston, who was kind of their scouting director for the Astros, and he rebuilt them and kind of turned them into what they are now under Jeff Luhnow. They were originally in St. Louis, and they had kind of done the same thing there. So this guy has a pedigree of doing this kind of thing, and he's done it with the Orioles, where his first ever draft pick was Adley Rutschman, who's the catcher now, who you guys might have heard of. He's doing some big things, and they've got some other guys in the mix. Ryan Mountcastle was part of the old regime, but he's tearing it up.
Yes.
Grayson Rodriguez as a pitcher is making his debut, who was one of the picks of the old regime too. But he's looking pretty solid so far. He's made 2 starts. He made his first home start yesterday, actually, as we're taping this, and a lot of promise there, and just a bunch of good young, exciting talent that is really fun and not taking themselves too seriously, right? Like, we'll see how the Wings shake out. I don't even know if they're guaranteed to make the playoffs this year. I hope to God that they do, because it's been 5 years since the rebuild started. But you've got them going out there and just jacking home runs and playing exciting balls, stealing bags, and then they're doing the celebrations with the dong bong or the homer hose or whatever it is. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but they jack a home run and then they come back and they do a beer bong of like water, Gatorade in the dugout. Like it's just a really fun, young, exciting team right now. So if I could sell you on any reason to get back in, it's a fun watch.
Yeah, and they're trying to aren't they like rebranding the name of the dong bong? Wasn't that like a thing that they tried to come out and do because they wanted to call it something else? Like wasn't everybody else calling it the dong bong?
Me and my co-host and like I said, Eric is the Barstool Orioles guy. So like we were watching that game in real time and they break that celebration out and we're in our group chat. We're like, this is the greatest thing to ever happen. And then shout out to one of our listeners. I think his name is Ben Garanzik. I think he coined the term dong bong and Eric's replies there to him tweeting about it. So we kind of got that going. And I think the team and like some of the players, I don't know if they want it to go that route because it's maybe not super family friendly. I think they like Homer Hose a little bit better. But like, guys, if we're doing a beer bong celebration, I don't know if we need to worry about being family friendly to begin with. But whatever you want to call it, it's just I don't know. It's just like a funny thing.
I think bong is fine. It's legal in Maryland. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, hey, July.
Right.
Yeah. Not that I'd know.
Allegedly. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's very exciting. I'm going to have to get to some Orioles games. We talk about this on every episode, I feel like, and I'm going to have to commit to it. All right. Jake, thank you so much for the sports talk. We're going to do a little TV. We're going to do a little movie stuff.
You want to hang on with us?
Love for you to hang out and chat with us. That'd be rad.
All right.
Yeah, I can hang.
That's great, dude. Before we do that, let's quickly run through this old elk thing real fast. How are you feeling about it? Well, that's not really the question. Do you like it though?
Are you actually love this?
You're really into it.
I'm really into it.
Really?
It's got a really nice. It's got a really smooth taste. It kind of has like that soft floral aroma in the beginning, but it has a kind of a nice little after bite, which is cool. I'm all for it, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I could have just been thirsty, but I'm enjoying it.
I'm putting it on you being thirsty because
you're not into it.
No.
You were asleep over there.
So for context, just so everyone knows, the $50 bottle, that's where this sits. All right. Because I feel like that's always very helpful.
Yeah.
So I feel as if flavor-wise, taste-wise, like it's probably around that price point.
Yeah.
I'm not like, I think it's good. I would drink it. I'm not mad at it at all. I agree with you. It's like sweet and floral on the front end. Does not have a harsh finish. It's very nice. It's very smooth on the back end. I like that. It's great. I've never seen it before. This is the first time I've ever come across it. So I feel like
Where'd you get this from?
The Quarry liquor store.
They always got some weird.
And we were talking about this before we started recording. This seems like one of those bottles that I'll see once in my life.
And never see it again.
And I'll never see it again. Like it's just one of those weird oddities that you're just going to come across. And I don't know what'll ever happen to them. I don't know if it's going to be a staple. But it's fun to probably give it a shot and try it. I don't know. It's, $50. I don't know. You got to probably want to, take a risk on some bourbon.
Celebrity on behind it.
Well, it's got a dude's name right in the front.
Like Jeremy
Greg
Renner.
Metz.
You said Greg Metz earlier.
Greg Metz, he's on the front of the bottle.
Yeah, and I think you said, that's a good name
For
whatever reason.
Do we know him from anywhere?
No.
You can Google him real quick.
This is from Colorado. I don't think we have any.
Probably friends with Jeremy Renner.
I smoked weed back with Greg Metz.
Greg Metz is the master distiller.
Yeah, there it is. All right. I think everybody, on this side, we enjoyed it. You're enjoying it.
I was a little
I was
a little skeptical because the most recent review on Total's website is 3 stars. All good until the finish. Great product to sip neat until you get to the finish. Very off-putting flavor. Not sure when went wrong.
There you go.
I don't agree with that. I think it's
flavor's
okay.
fine.
Yeah, I think it's all right.
Isaiah didn't like it though.
So for me, I'm not big on highly malted things, highly malted whiskeys.
Okay.
So that was the immediate turn off for me. But also to me, it's kind of sweet and it's a little flat to me. Like I don't get a big complexity in the flavors.
Okay.
Let me read you the tasting notes if I can.
Absolutely.
Let's go
All right.
to it.
Aroma, sweet vanilla and caramel, clove spice, slate maple, and nutty almond. Okay.
I don't feel like that's inaccurate.
Okay.
I don't taste almonds though.
All right, well, let's get to the taste. Hang on.
Okay.
Taste: maple syrup, almond, raw bran,
I'll give you the maple syrup.
chocolate, deep wood, and coconut.
A lot of sweet things.
Ooh, the coconut is
And it's
interesting.
not overly sweet though.
I like the coconut idea though. It's fun.
Mouthfeel smooth and coating with a lasting flavor.
Well, we did say that it was
That's
gonna
what
be
she
a
said.
second.
Yep.
Wow.
All right. So on the topic of ratings, right? All right, we're gonna dive right into the Mario Brothers movie that came out.
Did you see it?
No, I've not seen it. I've
It's
not
on my
seen it.
list.
Jake, are you a Mario Brothers fan?
Yeah, I was actually one of the newer ones that's out on the Switch. I was playing. I picked that up just on their like digital store. So I've been kind of running through that a little bit. Yeah, big into Mario.
Hell yeah, dude. I've been like low key really envying Switches lately.
I just got
see
myself
people-
one.
Oh my god.
That Mario
this
World
last
on the
weekend.
Switch
This
is
is
fun,
not
bro.
helpful for me, dude. It's not helpful.
We got a Switch in the house. It's a fun just pick up and just do whatever.
My problem with it is that all the Nintendo brand games start at $60.
Well,
And I get that that's kind of the par for,
They're like the
for
Air Jordan
console
of
things.
games.
Yeah.
But this is a screen that's this big, and I know you can connect it to the TV
Sure,
and
sure.
and whatever. But the idea is that it's portable, and I don't know. I think $60 is a little steep for that.
So, not to go down this rabbit hole, but there was recently somebody who was posting on Reddit about video game prices as they are currently today. And then they showed a clip from like a magazine or like a newspaper of like Nintendo 64 games.
Yeah.
When Nintendo 64 was like new and available, right? So it's like an old thing.
Yeah.
And like the games were like $149.99. Like the price for
Adjusted
games
for inflation.
was
Yeah.
like way higher.
Yeah, I get that.
I get there's an inflation piece talking numbers and math to me.
Nerd.
Come on, dude. But my point is like there was a time where they were valued quite
Yeah,
a bit.
you're right.
I mean, the consoles were what,
Crazy.
269,
Yeah,
280 back
300,
then.
yeah.
So the game was half the console back in the day.
Yeah, I get that.
So
Yeah, I guess you're right. It hasn't. It is kind of a deal comparatively, but I feel like it's still a little pricey.
all right, man, you're just gonna have to get over
But back
it.
in the
dude.
but
You have to
also
let it
back in
go.
the N64 days, our parents bought us games.
Yeah,
it
so
wasn't
we
my
had no
money.
yeah,
True, dude.
we don't give
You
a-
know.
give a crap.
Good
Right.
point. That's fair. I'll allow it. All right. So back to the Mario Brothers movie, which came out. Is anybody going to go see the Mario Brothers movie?
I
in
would
theaters?
love
I'm
to see
on
it.
board.
Yeah.
No. But the question is, are you going to go see it in theaters?
And
Yes.
my movie pass just activated itself. I was
my
waiting to do that. So
God.
now I have movie pass that I need to use.
So I'm
Take
like,
two.
I'm 50-50 on it. I just recently went to see a movie, John Wick 4, saw it in theaters. Horrible experience. Great movie. Hate going to the theater though. Stand by
What
this
theater
thing.
did you
Yeah,
go
where'd
to?
you go?
Towson, dude.
Of course.
right,
Stop
right.
Tell
going
me a
there.
good theater
Stop
to go
going
to.
there.
I don't know,
All right.
dude. I would give it a try again. I used to really enjoy that theater, but
It's
again,
bad.
back in the day,
Saturday
right?
night, dude, 6:30. There was like, it was barely open. It was a disaster. It was a mess everywhere. There wasn't like there was no snacks, no food, nothing. There was like
No
one
pricing.
popcorn.
No
Never
chips
run to the bar
recently?
there either.
No,
I
they're
always
not.
want to. Yeah, I always want to grab a beer there, and it's all I just got to make a big deal out of it. And I just
I
hate
said
doing
this when I went
Yes.
and saw Wakanda Forever. I went to the bar, ordered a double, a Jameson, and they just poured it and walked away. I was just like, what is going on? I was
You
like,
have,
what
to, you have to find people at the Towson Cinemark to help you.
Yeah,
and they don't
it's
want to be
terrible.
found.
It's terrible.
They
it.
don't
Like, yeah,
wanna be
like
doing
I'm
what
not.
they're
I'm
doing.
definitely not an alcoholic, but can you walk over here to this bar and like ring me up for this? You know?
It's like a
16
major
ounce Stella.
selling point to the
Yeah,
theater.
so-
though,
certainly,
that
right.
They have the
They
bar.
have a bar,
That's what makes it
right?
fun.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Well, we've all
It's
worked in
terrible.
customer service, and we've all done the head down, avoid customer move. Now, I'm not saying that that's good, but
I feel like if I worked at the Cinemark in Towson, I would just hang out at the bar and I would just
Sure.
pour people drinks
would-
all night. That's
you-
easy.
I'd turn
Who
into
wants
the-
to go like clean up the popcorn? Like,
I turn into the
I'll be the bar
bartender
guy.
from The Shining.
All right, so you're gonna go see it in theaters.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm very interested to
And
see it
you're
in
thinking
theaters.
that
Yes.
too.
I'm
All right.
taking my 5-year-old. She's in the
Jake,
Princess
are you
Peach.
are you a theater goer? Are you going to go to the movies to see a movie like this, or are you going to wait for this to come hit the streamings?
Yeah, I think I might because I do want to go see Air. So I'm thinking maybe I'll do a
Yeah.
double feature at some point. And that's a little bit of
Double
a time commitment,
feature.
so maybe not. But I am a big fan. Like it's kind of a hack. Like I'm not really like I don't hit the bars like, all that much. So like if I'm not doing anything on a given weekend night, I'll be like, hey, sneak over to Towson, go to the Cinemark kind of just kind of low key. I'll go by myself. I'll get a beer and a large popcorn and I'll watch a movie. So yeah, I'm big into it.
What's the last movie you saw in theaters?
It might have been Top Gun last summer. I haven't been in a
Oh,
while.
that's a good one.
That's a good one.
I mean,
that's a good one.
Yeah.
There's
good.
any,
That's
there's
a good
anyone
one.
to do it. That's
If
the
you want
one.
to go to the movies and see a movie,
It's worth the price.
Top Gun is
It's
it.
worth the price.
Yeah,
All right.
for sure.
I'd go see it again right now.
So
It's that good.
rolling back to the origins of this statement, which is basically that Mario Brothers came out with a kind of an abysmal Rotten Tomatoes score.
Of
But
course, yeah, it's still gonna get seen.
But the audience score is kind of off the charts, right? It's got like a mid to high 90s.
This just happened with something
People
else we were
love it.
talking about. Yeah.
Yes.
96.
So this is, I feel like, happening now.
The critic score is trash.
Yes.
And the audience score is astronomical. Yeah.
High. Correct.
Yeah.
So my question is, does that deter you one way or the other? And do you think that the Rotten Tomatoes like score, like, is that coming to an end? Like, is the relevancy of that kind of waning? Because I feel like, at least for me, at least back in the day, it mattered a lot. Like, you would kind of wait for the Rotten Tomatoes score. You kind of wait to see what the reviewer said, make your decision about your investment at the box office. But it feels like we're past that now. It feels like something has happened.
I think what's happening is, and again, what was it? I can't remember the last movie that this happened to. I believe maybe it was a Marvel movie. I can't remember, but it had the trash critic score and the amazing audience score. And I think what's going on is critics are looking at movies from a different lens than what fans, the average moviegoer, is going to look at a movie for. Yeah. Right? When someone goes to see a Marvel movie, they're going to say, oh, it doesn't meet this criteria because Marvel set the benchmark here. Sure. It falls flat here. It was Ant-Man. Ant-Man
had a pretty bad score.
Yeah.
But the movie was fun, right?
Yes, you enjoyed it.
Yeah, right? From a critic standpoint, I can see.
But it scared me off. I didn't go.
I
still haven't seen it.
I mean, this is where we live. We live in the credit, in the score, and what the critics say, and what the audience say, and like. But for someone with my wife, like, who doesn't give a rat's ass about any of that, she's just going and she's like, oh my god, it was one of the greatest movies I've seen. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like,
I can't convince my wife to watch something that has a low Rotten Tomato score.
What?
Because if she doesn't know what it is, so like if I pitch a movie to her and I'm like, let's watch this, she'll be like, I don't know what that is. And I'll be like,
and then she looks it up and she sees the score.
And she'll be like, and then she'll look it up on Rotten Tomatoes and she'll be like, it doesn't have a good score.
I just got my wife into the scores.
It's really
now
annoying.
She's like throwing it back at me.
Yeah,
but to my point, the critics are grading movies from a totally different experience than what the fan is, right? You got so many people out here who've been waiting on something Mario related to come to theaters.
Sure.
That they're gonna go anyway, and even if it's subpar, to them it's gonna be awesome, right?
Yeah.
If you're a fan, you don't care what how bad it is, because to you it's not bad, it's great. So you're gonna this was awesome for me. This was an awesome. So
experience. You're gonna go regardless.
Yeah, I'm a Mario fan.
You're not worried about the Rotten Tomatoes thing. You think it's no longer relevant.
Especially my daughter is like all into Princess Peach now. So that is even more motivation for me to take her. You know what I mean? So this is like now like I'm an old guy, and this is like an experience.
So you're taking the kids, take the family.
No, I'm taking one kid.
One kid.
No, I'm not taking.
Does the other kid hate Mario?
She just can't do it.
Okay.
I'm just taking one.
Right,
I don't have the capacity. I just got to take one at a time.
What you just said there about
favorite kids.
It's like Arrested Development. No, I love all my children equally. Kids, man. I don't care for Job. Your comment about people enjoying it generally, regardless of what the critics say. I just sitting here browsing through the reviews. I clicked all critics, and however they organize it, the top one here is an actual critic review of this movie. It says it's the laziest possible version of a Mario movie, and for most viewers, young and old, that's totally acceptable.
Exactly, it's totally acceptable for someone who just wants to see Mario in theaters, and that's fine for them. But that's the
point, though, no, right? Like that's what we made the movie for,
right? So why are you discrediting the movie? And you clearly can say that it's enjoyable for someone else. That makes no sense to me.
Sure.
Jake, what do you place Rotten Tomato scores like in the hierarchy for you? Like, does it matter? Are you worried about it? Yes, no. Like, do you look? I'm
more of like a Metacritic guy. Like, I definitely like to know what the critics are thinking, but like especially for Rotten Tomatoes, to me, it's like a case by case basis.
Yeah.
Like, if we're talking about the Mario movie, like, how do you critically review something like that? Like, seriously.
That's a good point.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, like I know that like there's definitely some merit that you can bring to some of the reviews and stuff, and I've read some of them, and it's it's just one of those things where I just you can't take it too seriously. So I'm not gonna like sit there and the same person that's reviewing like Tar is reviewing the Mario movie. It's like that should be two different professions, right?
Yeah,
and
that's fair.
like I would be more concerned with the audience thinks, but if it is like that more serious movie or like whatever, maybe an Air, maybe I will look for what the critics think a little bit. You know what I mean?
Air's got a pretty solid Rotten Tomatoes score right now. It's like upper 90s, isn't it? I think it's the highest. Isn't it the highest rated film for Affleck and
92% critic score, 98 audience score.
Wow,
that's pretty high.
I had something come across my algorithm about people going to see it because of Ben Affleck's feet.
Is it out yet?
It is. My brother-in-law and sister went and saw it, I think, last week.
And they said good things?
Good things?
Yeah, they liked it. They said it was Moneyball vibes, if you guys like
Moneyball. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Big Moneyball fans.
That might give me some
motivation?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Other big news this week was HBO made a lot of announcements.
I'm so sick of HBO
shit.
The big piece being, well,
now
it depends on what you care about, but they're changing their streaming service essentially again. Now it's going to be called Max as opposed to HBO Max. They're going just over to Max. And then there's going to be Max originals and then HBO originals, which was a little confusing to me. I'm not really sure how that all works.
This is very tumultuous.
But with that announcement, we obviously got the big reveal, Harry Potter, the 7-part series, 7 seasons, a decade's worth of TV, they're calling it. They're going to do each book. They're going to give each book its own season.
So it's a reboot, a reimagining kind of the original series.
All new cast. JK is involved.
Okay.
But all new cast.
She was canceled for a while, right?
Yeah.
I think technically some would say she still
Might
is.
still be,
Yeah.
Damn.
I don't know. There's a lot of controversy around her.
You would have think she said,
She's
I mean, if you see something she said.
she's over there swinging. She's in the UK swinging for the fences, dude. She's not worried about what's happening over here. I wonder if there's a lot of drama for her over in the UK.
Nah, they not.
Because all the articles that I read about her, like people getting really upset and mad at her, seems like a lot of like US anger.
Yeah.
Like I wonder what the vibe is across the pond.
We are generally an angry people.
Yeah.
Angry.
And you can find somebody, the social justice warrior will find someone to be angry about any time
That's
of
how
the day.
we won two wars, dude.
We're World War champs
Yeah,
2 times. I'll tell you what.
You've got to be pretty upset to get in there.
World War champs. That's pretty bad.
I saw that on a hat one time. Like, 2-time World War champs with a big flag on. I thought this guy's a jackass.
Shirts, hats, bumper stickers. You can get it whatever you want. So you get the Harry Potter reboot, which is kind of exciting. I feel like it's been in the works for a little while. Kind of anticipated.
To me, it just seems like another cash grab. Like I hate
You think it's too
so
quick.
so many Harry Potter movies, so many reboots, so many let's do something
No,
original.
but you're mad about the fantastic animals or
I'm
whatever.
mad about in general.
Okay.
Every movie.
Well, this is classic American thinking.
30%.
2-time World War champ, baby.
You're the problem.
I'm the problem.
Yeah.
All right, I'm
So
sit back.
what if the quality of the material is in vein of maybe like a House of Dragons, where it's very compelling storytelling, awesome acting.
Yeah, but House of Dragon isn't a reboot.
But,
I mean, it's from an IP
book.
though.
But here's
Harry Potter's a book.
Let's back up. Are
okay.
you a
and there
Harry
was
Potter
already a Harry
fan?
Potter movie.
You're right.
But are you a Harry Potter fan to begin
I
with?
enjoy Harry Potter.
The movies, though. You liked the movies?
Yeah, generally.
So you're upset because you have is it like a nostalgia thing?
It's not. I'm not upset for that. I'm upset at the lack of originality.
Okay. So now question.
Sure, I
Were
get
you a
that.
reader of the
Okay.
books?
Yes.
Okay. So now there's
Not all of them, but yes, I got 4 in.
But do you not feel like you were shortchanged a little bit on the movies? They had to leave a lot of things out.
yeah, well, they had to. It's a movie.
I
My wife
understand.
said the same thing. She's a
Unless
big
you're James
reader.
Cameron, and then you can
Make a
as long as you
5-hour
want.
movie.
9 hours, dude.
Right.
9 hours. Get ready.
A whole year's worth of television.
That's right.
Fuck James Cameron.
But as
Fucking hate him.
as a Potter enthusiast, I'm more excited to see
Pot enthusiast.
Is there
Potter.
is there an
enthusiast.
adjective for that? Like people who are fans of Cumberbatches or Cumber bitches? Is there
You're talking like Swifties.
Swifties, Cumber bitches? Is there a
Harry
word
Potter
for Harry Potter
Are they
fans?
potheads?
That's not bad.
I would think so.
That's not bad.
I don't think that's it, but it's not bad.
I'm coining it.
But I think that's already belongs to a subset of people. You can't rebrand an existing name.
I can
Stop
make a
trying
shirt
to make fetch happen. It's
That's
not
right.
going to
and just
happen.
put Harry Potter's glasses on it
Jake, are you a Harry Potter guy?
and market it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I
So
I
he's a
was
pothead.
big into the books and I liked the movies when they came out.
Yeah.
And I didn't go back to them until recently. I don't know if you guys played that game that just came out.
Dude.
Legacy.
I
Hogwarts
haven't
Legacy.
yet.
Yeah,
I
that was
really
a pretty
want to.
good game, I thought. So yeah, it kind of got me back into it a little bit. So yeah, I'm a fan. I'm kind of weirded out by this move too. Like, why do they need to do this? These movies came out 20 years ago.
It's
And,
time.
I mean,
it's cash grab time.
yeah, no, that's true. But that's what it is.
That's
I'm
my
like that.
point.
I don't have to be into that. Like,
I'm fine.
But
that
there
it's
is a
cash grab.
possibility that it is better than the movies.
That
it could be. Yeah.
that-
I mean, it
Yeah,
is
but
HBO.
The movies are nostalgic.
Sure.
We
Yeah,
get
but
that.
like, good luck selling our generation. I mean, like, this will be good for younger kids that like maybe haven't seen the movies, but like, good luck selling somebody my age or older
Who's
that's,
read
like,
the books.
older
I
than
have
that.
a-
It's not
Yeah.
going to be Harry.
My
Like,
theory, though, is that
not gonna be
they're not
Harry.
going to make the show for kids. I don't think. I think they're going to make the show for adults.
Harry Potter's gonna have sex.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. In the later book,
the-
in the later
in the
shows,
later
in
seasons.
the later seasons.
In the later
Diagon
seasons.
Alley
Because
and-
I don't think kids, you have young kids. Are they super into Harry Potter?
They don't even know who he is.
That's my point. People that are really into Harry Potter are our age. So by the time the show is coming out, we're going to be, late in our late 30s.
they're at least my age or older.
That's what I'm saying. So I feel like this is going to be I'm not saying it's like there's obviously kids in the beginning, but as they get older, I think it's going to be a little darker. I'm not like necessarily Game of Thrones maybe, but I do think it's going to be made for our generation,
CW
less for kids.
that they redid Riverdale, where it was
Yes.
an
Yeah,
adult
yeah,
reimagining
yeah.
of Archie.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like this is probably going to be along the lines of that.
Yeah. That would work well.
Comparing it to Riverdale really gets me excited.
There you go.
Harry be fucking.
No.
So they
Ask me that, please.
they also put the trailers out for a couple of things. The Penguin, the Batman chapter.
Oh, yeah, that looked great,
came
actually.
out. The new True Detective trailer that came
That
out.
looked good.
Both of those look pretty
Yeah.
solid. And that was like those are some of the big headlines from the HBO announcement. But on other HBO news, you're a Succession fan, aren't you, Jake? You watched that.
Oh yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
I feel
feel
the
like-
Succession people going crazy.
Yes,
right
sir.
now.
That is
So I don't watch Succession. I
Me
follow you on
neither.
Twitter
Yeah.
though, and I know you're very you co-sign it very hard, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's great.
You're very excited. How many seasons are there? 4?
4. We're on the
Four,
fourth
yeah.
now.
This is the
And
fourth
this
and
is the
last.
final season. What do you love about it so much?
Talk to
I
us, Jake.
love the dialogue is just great. Like, it's so well written. So it's made by this guy, Jesse Armstrong. And then he's got Mark Mylod, who I think was a Game of Thrones guy. It's all these English guys, right? That have this really kind of biting, sarcastic humor, this political sensibility about them that I think is really interesting. And like people, I saw the point made recently that it's not an American drama. It's a British comedy disguised as an American drama. Cause it's like these 4 people and they're all perfectly cast. And I guess the 4 kids, Alan Ruck is kind of the 4th kind of kid. He was Cameron in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He's like their estranged older brother.
Yeah.
And then the dad, Logan Roy, portrayed by Brian Cox. Just an awesome performance.
Oh,
It's
he's
just
awesome,
really
yeah.
well written, well acted, very funny. And it's kind of like, I think if you go into it not taking it overly seriously and not taking it as like, oh my God, this is like, super amazing at first and allow yourself to be drawn in, then you'll eventually get there. Because the first season, maybe the first like 4 or 5 episodes, I don't think it totally knows what it wants to be. But by the second half of the first season, second season, third season, and now it's just been completely clicking for me. It's just really well made.
It's pretty great.
Everyone that watches it says now it's like on all. Like,
It's firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
And you really like this season, if no other season told you who everyone in the family in the Roy family was, from the dad, God rest his soul, to the kids.
Yeah.
Like you find out exactly who these people are.
So is there a show
Yeah,
you would
root for
compare it
like
to?
you root for different ones at different times for different reasons, but like they're all like pretty like maladapted, like not great people. And it's interesting because like you root for like Kendall, for example, to like figure out his addiction issues. He's ostensibly the main character, and like he keeps falling down these rabbit holes that, you know, make it impossible. And you root for Shiv, to the daughter, to figure out her marriage, and she can't. And then like Roman, you know, Kieran Culkin, Macaulay Culkin's little brother, he's just this like irredeemable little shit. It's all really like entertaining. It's you know, it does get kind of repetitive in some ways. Like some of the criticisms I totally get, but if you can look past them, you would really enjoy it, I think.
Nice.
Hell yeah. Is there a show that you would compare it to that feels like it's kind of in the same vein? Like I know that there's obviously like writers that have like shows that kind of all feel like they string together, but
I don't know if you guys watch Billions, but it's Billions and it took itself a little bit more seriously and like didn't try to like turn into a cash cow.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
right. Yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
Definitely watched Billions. Didn't end well.
And also,
Billions was like, it was good for a little while, but they sort of ran out of material and they started cashing in. Like Succession, they're keeping it tight.
Yeah.
But and how many? So we're halfway through the 4th season, right? So it's coming to an end. Is it like 10 episodes, 8 episodes a season?
I think it's 9, and we're 3 in now, so almost halfway.
Yeah, there's 7 more. The last one will be May 28th.
Yeah,
it's my birthday. Yeah,
we are
that's nice.
Quite literally figuring out what's going to happen with the Roy dynasty at this point.
All right.
I
love it.
Got it.
All right, Jake, is there anything else that you're watching at the present moment? Like in the last few weeks, is there a show that you keep up with other than like the sports stuff and other than Succession? Is there anything else you've got? Like we do a thing at the end of the show we call like our watch lists, where we kind of just like quickly pitch whatever it is we've been watching, whether it's good or bad. Any some people just lock into one thing and that's okay.
Yeah, latest movie you saw or whatever.
Yeah, I haven't been big on the movies lately, unfortunately. Yeah, it's just been kind of Succession. I feel like I'm literally always in the middle of a rewatch of like The Wire or The Sopranos or something. So I'm sure I probably don't have to tell you guys about those. Nothing too crazy outside of Succession. I've been kind of busy with some other stuff the last couple months, but hopefully I can jump into. You know what? I actually did start Yellow Jackets.
Oh, okay. Hell yeah. Did you, you started season 1 or are you doing, because I know season 2's on right now.
Yeah, so I saw the season 2 hype, and so I'm probably like 2 or 3 episodes into season 1, and I'm really liking it so far.
Okay. So that's great. Yeah, that's a pretty solid show. Pretty good. My watch list is pretty short this week. I saw John Wick 4. I went and saw that in the theaters. Is entirely too long. If you like John Wick, I'm not saying don't go see it.
I absolutely love John Wick.
If you like John Wick, watch it.
Yeah.
But it's
agree.
It's almost 3 hours. It's entirely too long.
The thing I love about John Wick, though, the storytelling is so linear. If you miss a part, you know exactly what's going to happen.
That's fair.
And I didn't follow the John Wick comics, and I should have. And because one of my gripes in the John Wick universe was all of this madness is going around and people are just acting like it's normal. So I kind of did like a deep dive into like the lore of John Wick, and apparently that is kind of one of the nuances of the universe is that assassins are normal.
Sure.
Like this happens all the time. So the people are just kind of going about their day-to-day lives knowing that assassins are just kind of like...
It's like Transformers.
Yeah, like any given day, like someone can get your head shot off and you're just like Trader Joe's.
It's like the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
You know superheroes are around.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of cool. It gave a new perspective, and I'm going to go back and like watch the movies again to kind of pick up on that. I thought that was kind of cool.
Hell yeah, man.
So I'm excited for John Wick 4. Josh, can we get that on Plex?
Yeah, John Wick 4, dude. Get it on the Plex, bro. Plex it up.
I will acquire it from legal sources.
There we go.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
You got Waco.
Love is
Waco?
Blind, dude.
You watched Waco?
I watched
I watched Waco.
The documentary or the show?
The show.
Oh, this is the documentary.
You got the doc.
Even worse?
So there's a documentary that's on Netflix. It's a 3-part series. It's fine. I don't think it's like a particularly amazing documentary. It's not.
Is the show the one? Sorry to cut you off. Is the show the one with Tim Riggins playing David Koresh?
Yes. And the show is great. Like that, he does a really good job. And I think the show is probably a better I don't know. It's a documentary, guys. Kind of an unfair comparison, but the show I thought was a little bit better. It's more of a complete story. I felt like, whereas the documentary, it's 3 parts. They're like 40-minute episodes, 45-minute episodes, and it doesn't really dive too deep into the characters outside of the experience at WACO. So you feel like you kind of like just don't really know who everybody is. And then all of a sudden you're in the firefight and you really spend 3 episodes there. So I guess, I don't know, it depends on what you're into, but it's fine. It's on Netflix, you know, if you got the subscription, give it a watch. It's an easy watch, but I don't know. I wouldn't give it high marks. And then Love Is Blind season 4, obviously that's big right now. That's on Netflix.
That ends Sunday.
We've talked a lot about Love Is Blind.
I've seen a little bit of it.
Do you do any trash TV, Jake?
Not really. I tried to get into Love Island a couple weeks back, and I couldn't stay on it. There's just not enough time for me. I wish I could, but back in the office every day, and not a ton of time for the brainless stuff. So I kind of keep it a little bit more on the prestige side. Not that there's anything wrong with the trash TV.
No, I appreciate that. My wife is huge into Love Island. I can't get into it, dude. I've tried. I've tried. I have a trash TV show. It's 90 Day Fiancé. That's kind of where
you're pretty religious on that.
Yeah.
It's an easy watch.
Sure.
It's an easy watch. And it's consistent because there's just so many different variations of it. It's on TV all the time. It's an easy watch. But yeah, so that's more or less, I think, what my week has looked like. Anything that's outstanding for you?
Thank you to well, we didn't record last week, so it was Shrinking, Snowfall, Mandalorian, which are my consistents.
Oh, Mandalorian
over the past few weeks. But then last weekend, I was immersed in WrestleMania, which is 2 nights. Josh, you a wrestling head?
Nope, I'm Josh.
No, you meant
Jake. I'm sorry.
Jake, you do any wrestling?
Do any wrestling?
No, not really. I respect it. I wish I had gotten into it when I was younger, but I never did. So it kind of feels like that train has passed me by.
No, don't hold yourself back, bro. You can jump in at any time.
Jump in at any time.
Maybe I'll give it a shot.
Speaking of trash TV.
That's my trash TV.
Speaking of trash TV.
And then Creed 3. I did Creed 3.
Oh, you said you weren't going to do that.
I said I was not.
Was it good or was it bad?
I actually enjoyed it. It was much better than the first 2.
Gosh.
The boxing was terrible. A lot of CGI, but the story. I was telling Isaiah earlier that I appreciated that the story wasn't cemented in legacy and it was cemented in the characters.
Yeah,
the immediate cast. It didn't have anything to do with Rocky or Apollo. It was his story that came full circle.
Do you track boxing at all?
Yeah.
You do. Jake, do you watch boxing at all?
Maybe a big fight here and there, nothing crazy.
Yeah, I'm
Tank
kind of the same way.
Yeah.
I don't like track with it like at a deep level, but I'll watch a big fight here and there.
Yeah. I read a biography on Ali a couple of years ago. That was really awesome. It kind of made me want to get into it, but I haven't really gotten into it yet.
I feel like there's like every sport has there's a big commitment to it, right? Like there's so much.
You gotta like consistently.
Boxing. When I hear people talk about boxing, it stresses me out and it intimidates me because there's like so much knowledge.
There's a lot of boxers. There's a lot of belts. There's a lot of divisions. And
I feel like I miss so much of it too, right? Like a lot of the greats have like kind of come and gone.
But the thing about boxing and golf are like kind of like the barrier of entry for information is so high that it's like it's a little intimidating.
Jake, you're a big golf guy.
You've kind of taken that space up a lot too.
UFC,
a lot of people our age are UFC guys now.
Yeah, I love UFC.
Jake, you do the golf thing. You're big on the golf stuff.
Yeah, that's probably outside of the football. That's my main deal. Probably my favorite sport.
Oh, what do you think? What do you think about Rahm's big win in the Masters, man?
I loved it, man. I'm a big Jon Rahm fan. I love the passion that he shows. I think he's a really good dude and a great champion. And he really went out there and earned it, man. He was 2 down. Yeah. He went out there and hit some ballsy shots, especially the one into 14, and really wrapped that thing up on Brooks. Yeah, so really fun watch.
I think the bet I made on him was a plus 300. I got 25. I got $150 back.
Now my question is, what do you think of Brooks? 1, his decision to leave the tour. 2, him not being able to, when it counts, capitalize on those moments to really
leaving the tour.
Out.
That's tough. I get that he had his reasons for it. He talked about that on the Full Swing thing, and then recently a little bit too. He was like, if I had been fully healthy, it would have been a much harder decision because the whole thing was like he wasn't going to be one of the live guys when that rumor first started circulating. But I think he got hurt. He lost his confidence, and he took the bag. And I think he's regretting it a bit now. And we saw it this past weekend when he went out there and played well. But to your point, that last day, it just it didn't look good for him. And now that's maybe 4 majors in a row where he's been in the mix on a Sunday and he just hasn't been able to get it done. It's kind of not like the Brooks that we first got to know. It's a little bit different now. So hopefully for his sake, he can turn that around.
Yeah, man.
Hell yeah. All right. So we'll wrap up. We've been running for an hour here, which is a good time. So, Jake, thank you so much, man, for being a part of this episode. We really appreciate it. I love talking sports.
We got to get you to check in like once every 30 days. It's
very meaningful.
I
love nerding out over that stuff. I'm not as knowledgeable on it, but I love nerding out over it. So
I think
Really
I'm a
appreciate
sports enthusiast until Jake.
And then you
gets
talk
on.
to somebody
who's actually
Jake, we'll get all your like plugs and stuff obviously in the show notes and up on the screen so everybody can, track that stuff down easily. But again, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and pause recording and let's get everything uploaded and we'll get you on your way. Does that sound good?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks. Thanks a ton, guys. A lot of fun. And let's do it again soon.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you.